Got a weird notification there, so I just needed to check what that was. Hi everyone, 5 minutes before we start, and I just thought I'd bring you to this wonderful view. Some of you may have seen it before. We're standing on the viewing platform for the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre. Hi Christine, hi James, hi Dawn, and hi Katie. So this is where we are, literally standing on top of the Blue Mountains Plateau, and this is the viewing platform for the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre. Hi Anna. So there's the Cultural Centre. We're going to go inside there in a moment, and we've got in the background the chimney attached to the Carrington Hotel, and there's an outdoor sculpture in the courtyard there. But looking out this way, because it's just gorgeous today, chilly, a little bit windy, but this is the view overlooking the township of Katoomba. And then over in the background there, we're looking at the cliffs, the escarpment, the gorgeous colours of the Blue Mountains National Park. So this is where the Jamison Valley is, and the colour of the Blue Mountains, what they've famous for, why they've called the Blue Mountains. What did I just hear there? It sounded like a crow maybe. And over in this direction over here, we're looking to the southeast, towards the coast. Let me see. It's a little bit hazy out there. And then over to the east over here, we can't see it from this aspect, but in that direction is where Sydney itself is. We're about 100 kilometres to the west of Sydney and at an altitude of just under 1,000 metres. So let's start heading inside. And what we're here for today is to see the Archibald Prize, which is the most prestigious Australian prize for portraiture, if I can get that word out. Good morning, Anna, Diana, hi Lynn, and hi Una. Oh, I've gone up instead of down, sorry. I have a little MacGyver hack here that helps me cut out a lot of the wind noise, but it makes it difficult to tap some of the buttons on the screen. There we go. All right, so we've got just over 2 minutes before we begin. I'll start slowly heading towards the gallery. And over to my right here is the library. So in this complex here, we have a library over on this side that's looking inside. There's a 2-level library in there. Over on the left, there's offices, and the gallery itself is sort of tucked in behind that brick wall over there. This is a permanent sculpture in the courtyard. We'll get an interesting reflection of it in the window over here. Maybe, if the light works for us. Maybe not. Get it with the chimney in the background. The chimney is attached to the Carrington Hotel. I really need to get inside. Look at me. I should have tied my hair back. Yes. So, and there's another sculpture suspended from the ceiling inside the entrance to the gallery itself. Now, there will be some points during this tour where the signal will dip. There's no rhyme nor reason for it. You'll be in one part of the gallery and everything will be fine. Move 2 steps to the left and the signal suddenly falls away. So we're going to persevere and hopefully everything will work out for us today. Hi Cheryl and hi Bronwyn. And we're getting up to 30 seconds before start time. So I might just position myself here and welcome you from this point before we go inside. Let's turn that camera around. Get ready to go. Wait for a couple of new arrivals to jump on before I begin. Thanks, Katie. Lovely to see you too. And hi, Janice, and hi, Jen. Just move out of this lady's way. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, so good morning, everybody. I think I know most of you. My name's Lynn, and we're back in the Blue Mountains today. We were down in Sydney yesterday, and I'm really excited to be bringing you to the exhibition, the travelling exhibition of the Archibald Prize for Portraiture. So before we begin, I'd just like to acknowledge that we're meeting today in the traditional lands of the Darug and Gundungurra people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I never know where to look on this screen. I feel like I'm always looking over to the right. Okay, so good morning everybody, and let's go inside the Blue Mountains Cultural Centre. I already have my ticket. I didn't get an opportunity to introduce myself to the volunteer who's, what do you call it, not hosting? Well, sitting at the entrance. Anyway, hopefully they'll understand when I go inside and present my ticket in a moment. There's still no volunteer sitting there though. All right, so this is the entrance to the cultural centre. When we finish with the exhibition, I'll come outside and we'll spend a few moments in the gift shop, because there's some lovely, unusual items in the gift shop that I'm sure you'll be interested in seeing. Good morning, Camilla. And this is the suspended artwork in the foyer of the cultural centre. And there's a cafeteria over here. Before we go inside, this isn't part of the Archibald Prize exhibition itself. This is a portrait of a local by the name of Jenny Key. Australians probably know who Jenny Key is. She had a fashion label in the 1980s. But what I find fascinating about this portrait is just the way that it's been composed. It's really unusual. It almost looks like a collage. And I just love the way it's been put together. Jenny Key is an icon of Australian fashion and still lives locally just up the road from here. Yeah, so let me show you who the artist is. This is Scott Marr, and the technique he's used is pyrography and using natural pigments on paper. Hi, Ronnie Lynn. Who else joined? Hi, Tariq and the Bears. Welcome. Elizabeth. And hi, everybody. And Beatrice. Now, I just need to show my ticket to the volunteer. And I'll introduce myself while we're here. Good morning. Here's my...
Right. Yes, you hold on to that in case you want to go into the World Heritage.
Yeah, thank you. I will. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the Archibald Prize. I'll do that at the end. There's a visitor's book there. So the first one that we have, well, first of all, let's explain the Archibald Prize for those who aren't aware. So it's Australia's preeminent portraiture event. It's been operating now since, I think it's I can't remember now, 1903, possibly a little later. I know it's been going for more than 100 years. So ANZ is proud to be the presenting partner for the 13th year in a row. ANZ is an Australian bank. So the first piece that we have here is a portrait of Taika Waititi, who is a director, writer, actor and producer from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And some of you may know films such as Hunt for the Wilder People and Thor Ragnarok. So this is him, and you'll notice it's been depicted with almost like a 3D effect. So it's got that red and green framing, for want of a better word. And the artist apparently intended to depict his sense of fun. The next one along, people from outside of Australia may not be familiar with this person. The portrait depicts two sides of the same person. So in his regular life, his name is Shane Jenek, but he's better known in Australian media as Courtney Act, and he became famous during RuPaul's Drag Race. And Courtney is now a presenter, an interviewer, and a popular and well-known advocate for LGBTQI issues. I think that's lovely. I love the colours in it. Okay, so the next one along, again, is probably someone that may not be known outside of Australia. She is the Secretary of the Trade Union Movement. Her name is Sally McManus, and she's been depicted with all the headlines that surround her. For instance, there's an image there of her with Julia Gillard, the ACTU, all the everything that goes along with her image as being Secretary of the Trade Union Movement. So the artist for Sally is Joanne Braithwaite. And she says, I believe in the rule of law, where the law is fair and the law is right. But when it's unjust, I don't think there's a problem with breaking it. That was a quote from Sally McManus during an interview. Like the jacket. Yeah, I like the jacket too. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Should we get some made up like that? I reckon they'd sell pretty well. Okay, so this lady here is the wife of someone who was a big figure in medicine. So Richard Lua is the artist, and he has depicted Elizabeth Laverty, who is the wife of pathologist Colin Laverty, who started up a network or a chain of pathology labs. Certainly around New South Wales, I'm familiar with them. I'm not sure even if they were around the country, but she's been shown here in her morning routine, reading the newspaper, having a cup of tea, putting out some snacks, some cookies for guests, and reading her diary of what she's got coming up for the day. We'll go through the prize winners. There's more than one prize. There's actually the ultimate prize, which is chosen by the trustees of the Art Gallery of New South Wales. But there's also a packing room prize. There's a popular, the People's Prize. And then as it goes travelling around the country doing these regional exhibitions, there is also people are asked to nominate their favourite, basically. Okay, so this is an image of Eric Uriel by artist David Fenoglio. In this exhibition, there are 52 finalists from a prize pool, from an entry pool of over 800. So Eric Uriel is co-founder of House Uriel, which is an artist collective based in the highlands of New Guinea. And he creates opportunities for people on the fringe, young people who are disadvantaged and at risk. Why am I getting notifications? I turned everything off. Sorry. Very frustrating. I'm getting Heygo notifications popping into my screen. This one here is really interesting, mainly for the technique that's been used. So the subject of this painting is the artist himself, Mustafa Azamitaba. So he's titled it KNS 088, which is how he was known for the entire period that he was in immigrant detention, first on Manus Island and then in a Melbourne hotel. The key thing about the Melbourne hotels was that while they were there, I don't remember the exact number, but while they were in the hotels in Melbourne, they couldn't leave their room for the entire time that they were locked up there. It was during COVID, and so they had even less freedom than when they were on Manus Island. So while he was in detention, the only artist materials he had available to him to express his art was coffee and a toothbrush. So he's used the same method in creating his self-portrait, but he's incorporated acrylic into the art as well. Yes, and yes, they get the subject's permission, and usually they'll have the subject sit for them as well. All right, so let me just give you an angle from here. There's a second exhibition on in there, and if we have time, we'll go in and have a quick look at that as well, because it's rather lovely, based on pottery. So I'm going to show you the room from this point before we continue. Let's just quickly show you the room. There we go. So we're just turning around now to look at this one here, which is mainly done in blue. It's unusual in that it doesn't cover the entire, well, it's not a canvas, it's actually a board. We can see the raw material that has been painted on there. So this one the subject is Abdullah, the artist is Jasper Knight. And he says, Abdullah has had a meteoric rise from the 25-year-old I first met at the 2011 Archibald, when he came up and asked if he could photograph us together, because it was his first time in the prize. So I didn't actually mention that the prize for portraiture is meant to depict someone who is I don't have any vocabulary today. Important in their field, or it has accomplished in their field. So it might be art, it might be theatre, it might be science, writing, journalist, that sort of thing. So, Katie, from a field of more than 800 entries, it was narrowed down to, I believe it was 52 finalists, and they are all here in this exhibition. The winner has already been decided, has already been awarded. We'll see that right at the end. So we'll see the Packing Room Prize, the People's Choice Award, and the actual prize winner at the end. And you tell me what you think your favourite was. And what I want you to do is post your favourite in the Heygo Voyages group as well. Let's see if we can have our own People's Choice Award. So depicted here we have Helen Garner by artist Catherine Hattam, and it's collaged book pages. So you can actually see, if we look up close, Helen Garner, of course, is a writer. So we have book pages as the canvas for the actual artwork. If we look really closely, we get all sorts of different pages. Now, Helen Garner's probably most famous work was in 1977, Monkey Grip, which was made into a film. And here she is, sitting in her sunroom, having a cup of tea. You can see the teapot and chooks outside the window. Moving along, the next one we see is Patrick Corrigan. Patrick Corrigan is a businessman. He's an art collector and a generous benefactor. He was made a member of the Order of Australia in 2000 for service to the visual arts, particularly in philanthropy. So the artist here is Noel McKenna. Yes, it's not just traditional painting. The artists have used their own creativity in terms of how they've depicted their subject matter. So here's Patrick Corrigan with coffee plunger, just having a chat to the dog. There's a magpie on the balcony rail. And before we continue along there, There's one just alongside it here. I like the energy in the subject's face in this one. He looks like he's really passionate about something. So Yakamoto Magic Pierre, this one's called. The artist is Matthew Lynn. And it says, this is Matthew's 18th time as an Archibald finalist. Let me see, what does it say about Yakamoto Magic Pierre? Looks like he's into music, African community in Western Sydney. There we go. Yeah, he looks like is he dancing? Definitely moving. Right, so next along we have another Australian figure. She's a musician, Deborah Conway. I think Deborah Conway's had a bit of a hard life. You can see it in her hands. And I like how the shirt in this one has been kept really simple. It's little more than a pencil sketch. So the main focus has been given to her face and her hands. The artist is Lewis Miller. Okay, I'm going to skip a couple because there's some people over here. Let's have a look at this one. So another Australian, this is John Safran, and he rose to fame through an ABC television series called Race Around the World, where young people were, I think there were 10, they were each given a video camera and an assignment for a week to come up with a story, and that was every week. And John Safran focused on religion. And here he is depicted as David and as Goliath. Let me turn around this way. Now, this one here, I probably actually should show you first because many people will recognise the subject. So Peter Garrett is, of course, the lead singer of Midnight Oil, and he was also a politician. He has been painted here by an artist by the name of Anne Doe, who has a television show called Brush with Fame, and I actually love Anne Doe's work. Anne Doe describes this image as if you were going nose to nose with somebody, you would get that sort of effect of seeing four eyes, and that's what he's trying to depict here, getting right up close to Peter Garrett. And so that's why you get that unusual effect with the eyes. I love Anne Doe's work, I really do. He does some amazing work. Okay, so this one here, this young lady, school student, she was involved in the strike for schools, and she was at COP26, I believe, with COP26 last year as one of the international delegates, where Greta Thunberg also attended. I think she was 15 when she went along to that. Okay, alongside this one is, the subject is the husband of the artist, and it's just simply called Somewhere Near Home. She describes him as having great hair and an obsession with sunglasses, wearing them far too often, she says. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Francis. So for those who don't know, we're at the Archibald Prize. It's at the Travelling Exhibition. which travels around the country now to regional galleries, having already been exhibited at the State Gallery of New South Wales earlier this year. The prize has already been decided, and we're going to decide amongst ourselves who we think felt we should have been the prize winner. So this one here, I love it. Absolutely love this one. Look at it. He just looks like he's so deep in thought. This is a portrait of Peter. Is it Wagner or Wagner? Peter, oh, he was last year's prize winner. That's right, yes. Now, okay, so this gives us all the information that I lacked earlier. Last year was the 100th Archibald Prize. The subject matter last year was 100-year-old artist Guy Warren, and he was painted by this artist, Peter Wagner. Just watching where I step back onto. Isn't it amazing? I love that. Okay, so going back up, we're going to go into the next room shortly, but before we do, we'll go back up this side. I haven't not leaving myself a lot of time, am I, to cover all 52 paintings? I might have to hurry it along a little. Now, this lady here is well known for her colossal inflated sculptures, and one of them is called what's it called? Sky Whale. Australians might remember Sky Whale, which was a massive inflated, like a oversized inflatable balloon, hot air balloon, and it looked like a fictitious fantasy creature. 34-metre long hot air balloon. Patricia Piccinini. Now, if you look really closely at this is a tiny, tiny little painting. It's here. That's how big it is. But look at the detail in it. All the textures, the furniture, her hair, the rug she's sitting on. The detail is incredible for such a tiny little work. I'm not touching it, but I'm very close. That's how big it is. Okay. I'm going to sort of go quite quickly along these ones. Oh, hi, Renee. Thanks for joining me today. All right, I'm going to go quite quickly along this wall because we don't want to miss out on the last ones at the end of the exhibition. So this is Bridie Gilman, who is an artist based in Brisbane. I think what's notable about this one is the jewellery, the way the jewellery's been depicted, and the bangle and her earring. This next one's called Venus, but it's actually Benjamin Law, who many will know as an actor, a performer, who has featured on SBS television. Do we recognise Benjamin Law? Thank you, Renee. And alongside Benjamin, we have, this one's actually really interesting, the disabled artist Hustle. So the subject here, Jamila Main, advocates for equal rights and access for people with a disability in the arts realm. The one alongside it is quite interesting from the point of view of, it looks really misty. It almost looks like it's being, if you get up close to it, it's sort of very, very misty. Crazy Rich Asians, that's exactly right, Bronwyn. And then as you step back from it, it comes into focus. Thank you, Renee. I do appreciate your validation. of what I'm attempting to do, and I really appreciate it. All right, so this one here is incredibly realistic. Let's have a look at her eyes. Okay, so the description for this one, it's called Irrational. The artist is Catherine Longhurst, and she has represented a woman by the name of Midori Goto. I'm just trying to read the description here. It wasn't until we started working together that I realised how much the stories I was trying to tell mirrored Midori's own, says Longhurst. Yeah. And now, I don't always endorse or go along with photos that are photorealistic, paintings that are photorealistic, but I think that one has real energy. Sorry, I missed showing you her necklace. It's just not focusing. It's got a tree of life and a crucifix, and then her tattoo. Okay, so moving into the next room. I like to stand back and look at them from a distance before you get up close. So here we have one called Walking a Tightrope. The artist is Anne Cape, and when we look at this one, you'll see why it's called that. The subject is Ewan MacLeod, who won the Archibald Prize in 1919 with a self-portrait, and apparently he uses figures on tightropes a lot in his own paintings. So here, if you look at the background, you can see two figures on a tightrope. Now, this gentleman, it's called Hirsute Self-Portrait, Robert Hannaford, and I believe he has been a finalist many, many times. I'm just looking here. 26 previous occasions. So the Archibald Prize has been running for 101 years, and he's been a finalist in at least a quarter of them. I'd like to think that it's depicting all aspects of our society, more so now than in the past, Renee. This one, I love the sense of lack of vanity, shall we put it. Now, when I saw this one as a photo, it's called Day 77, obviously referring to lockdown. And it says here that it was Jonathan Dalton's birthday when his wife mentioned that they had been in lockdown due to COVID-19 for 77 days, knowing he was born in 1977 and that the little numerical coincidence would appeal to him. When I first saw this as a photo, online, he talks about how he depicted the child's scribbling on the wall, and I'm looking and zooming in, and I could not see any writing on the wall. But when you are here in front of it in real life, you see the child's scrawlings on the wall here. And then on the other side, he has inserted into the image a little horse-like figure, and he says that was because he was drawing inspiration from the Lascaux caves in France. Okay, so this one is the man in the red scarf, Wade Tunnicliffe. The artist is Nick Stathopoulos. And I'm just trying to figure out who Wayne Tunnicliffe actually is. Curated for the art gallery. Visit to the other street and respective. Okay, so Tunnicliffe is part of the curation team by the looks of it. And his painting also depicts the well-known matchstick sculpture that sits outside the Art Gallery of New South Wales. But look at the detail in his beard. And his eyelashes. Now that's photorealism. You can nearly stroke his face, can't you? This one here draws inspiration from Brett Whiteley also, because the matchsticks, of course, were a Brett Whiteley sculpture. I've taken you to Wendy Whiteley's Secret Garden, who was the wife of Brett Whiteley, is the wife of Brett Whiteley. And this one here is recreating one of Brett Whiteley's Archibald Prize-winning portraits. So it's called Dear Brett, the Blue Room. And Brett Whiteley won the 1976 Archibald Prize with his own self-portrait called The Blue Room, which was very similar to this. So she's actually been inspired by his painting, everything from the nude portrait of his wife, the dogs, and the reflection in the mirror. All right, I really, really like this one. Now, explaining who this person is, this is Dylan Alcott. Oh, don't do weird things with the exposure. Come on. Probably because it's very all black. Let me explain who Dylan Alcott is first of all. He is our current Australian of the Year, which is awarded every year in January. He is a Paralympic gold medalist in more than one sport. I think he's done tennis and what was the other one? Tennis and something else. I'm trying to remember what the other sport was that he competed in. But I just really like the way that the artist is focused just on his face, just on his hands, and the black is messing with my exposure, so I'm going to get in nice and close. Let's do this first. Sort out the exposure. There, that's better. And then his face. And then we'll stand back to look at the whole picture. Gosh, it's struggling with the exposure. Okay, we still have a lot to see, so I'm going to pick and choose. Here we have Lisa McCune, who's an Australian actress, being depicted in the flooding that we've had all year. And next to her we have Laura Tingle, who is a journalist. And it shows her with... Stop that. You can just see some of the detail up there, referencing one of her interviews, I believe that is. And some of her writing. And she's currently partnered with Sam, what's his name? Sam Neill, the New Zealand actor from Jurassic Park and other things. All right. So this is a former Archibald Prize winner and arts in his family. He's an Indigenous artist by the name of Vincent Namatjira. His grandfather was Albert Namatjira, who painted landscapes in, I'm trying to think of the decade that he was prominent. I believe it was the 40s or 50s, but I could be wrong. Someone can correct me on that. I love the way this one is sort of representing her like the portraits of the Renaissance period, with when noblemen had lots of gold and red and a particular stance, making them look very regal. 50s? Thanks, Bronwyn. There's a couple here I didn't actually pay any attention to last time because I was running short of time as well. This one's called Self-Portrait with Ghosts, so let's have a look at it. And this one's called Dana, Head in Hands. Now I do just need to scoot back around this way so that we can see our final room with how long to go. Not long. This one's done in like the Georges Seurat style, the pointillism. It's a rap trio. It's untitled. The artist is Daniel Boyd, but it's based on a hip-hop group called 1-4 who come from Western Sydney. And you can see the style, which actually is, it's very similar to the pointillist style of Georges Seurat, but obviously dot paintings are a big part of Indigenous art as well. And here we have probably our most famous subjects. I don't think I need to tell you who these people are. This lady here her name is Sharon Ellis, and she's a forensic scientist who has worked for the Australian Federal Police since 2000, not being depicted in her line of work. Love the hair. And this one here is called Brooke and Jimmy, and Brooke Boney is a Gamilaroi woman from Muswellbrook, who has been a newsreader. She's now an entertainment reporter on Nine Network's Today program. Okay, let's scoot along this wall opposite. A lot of the images depicted on this wall depict people from popular culture. So this couple here were winners on The Block. I don't watch The Block, so I have no idea who they are. Then we have, let me see, OA. I don't know anything about these two people. I find the styles a little unusual. Low power. Let me just sort that out. 1 second. Got my battery here. I need to turn it on. These two I don't think will appeal to everybody. They're certainly very colourful. Okay. All right, I'm obviously in a bad part of the gallery here, guys. I lost the signal completely for just a moment. but I should have you all back. Just give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're back with me. Thanks, Dawn. Excellent. Okay, there's two more over here. The one on the left, Yumi Steins, is in the Australian media. She has a podcast. She comes from a Japanese background, so she's been depicted in I think it's 15th century warrior style. Then when you look closely at her kimono, the artist has actually featured food that she loves. So it's got crayfish and figs depicted in her kimono. Okay, we're coming up to the winner. There's one more before we get to it. So this is a prize-winning fighter whose name is, I don't know his first name, Tim Zhu. He's the son of Kostya Zhu, who is also a prize fighter. And see, my image is sort of a bit jittery. Okay, guys, are we ready for the winner? There's actually the first one we're going to look at is the ultimate winner, and the second one we're going to look at is the People's Choice Award. So this is the winning entry. I'm going to go sideways to look at it just briefly, and then we'll go in and have a look. 1, 2, 3. So this one is called Moby Hicks, and it depicts the artist, an Indigenous artist by an Indigenous artist. I'll go back again. So the subject is, Moby Dickens. What did I say? Moby Hicks. The subject is Carla Dickens, who is a Wiradjuri woman. She has been depicted in the floods of this year. It shows trying to mop up after the floods with buckets that just cannot cope with the water. There are 14 clouds in the sky, and they represent the number of days of deluge that was inflicted on the community that... sorry, what was her first name? Carla Dickens. There we go. It's Carla Dickens. So some of the stories that have come out of the floods in Australia this year, of course, the worst one arguably would have been Lismore, which was completely inundated. They'll be recovering for years in Lismore, and they were inundated 3 times, I believe. Okay, so there's that one there, which I actually do really like. The artist's name is Black Douglas. I've seen his street art around Newtown. And next to it is the People's Choice Award. And most Australians will know Samuel Johnson. Firstly, as an actor, but secondly, when his sister was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer, he raised a lot of money riding around the country on a unicycle. And he is holding in his hand a mug, a coffee mug, which depicts the portrait of the artist's mother, who also died of breast cancer. So many people were affected in Lismore, weren't they, Bronwyn? So what do you think? That's the People's Choice Award. Did you have a favourite as we walked around? Since we have, we've just reached 45 minutes, which is the time that I allowed. There's one last portrait here, which is to do with sustainability, and it also includes some solar panels. And it's called The Big Switch. All right, what I'm going to do is just give you a quick recap, quick reminder. We'll do a very quick walk around. Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Lynn. Always appreciate your support. Okay, we'll do a very quick walk around just as a recap. I think this was the packing room prize. I forgot to mention that earlier. So this one here of, I can never remember this guy's name, Taika Waititi. Thank you, Jen. So this was the packing room prize. And thank you, Louisa, beg your pardon. Then we had Courtney and Shane, Sally, Eleanor Laverty, Eric Uriel, Mustafa Akamata, how do you say that? Azimitaba, the toothbrush and coffee one. Just quickly along here. So what do you think, guys? Did you have a favourite? I don't really have time to go around them all again. Yeah, I did too, Beatrice. I really like that one. It's very powerful. No, you probably don't know many of the subjects, Anne. The coffee one. Peter Garrett. Yeah, let's go back and have a look at Peter Garrett too. Yeah, so the coffee one was there, coffee and toothbrush. Peter Garrett's over on this wall, over the back. The one with the ghost. So this one here by Ando, Peter Garrett. I really like that one. I like this one too. So the self-portrait, I think, was around to my right here. There's Dylan Alcott. Next to Laura Tingle. And then the self-portrait is over this side over here. And someone mentioned the ghosts. And the ghost one, Louisa, is over here. Standing back gives it more effect, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to head out. Back, if you've got a couple of minutes, we'll have a very, very quick look at the gift shop. So if you've got some good postcards, be sure to put them into the Heygo Voyages group, and we'll have our own People's Choice nomination, shall we? We'll have a vote. Also, don't forget that we have our own group that Susanna and I manage. It's called the Down Unders. I think it might just be Down Unders without the. Come along and join that if you're not already in it. There's some postcards here from the exhibition. So here's Peter Garrett. Postcards are $2. There we go. And this is the book. The Archie book is $35. I'm downsizing. I won't be buying the book. And we'll have a little quick look at the gift shop here. There's some beautiful, beautiful things in here. All Australian artists. Just very quickly. Thank you, Bronwyn. Sorry you missed the tour, Chelsea, but that's okay. Maybe I'll come back again I might come back one more time before I need to check when it finishes and moves on. I love these little Australian wildlife, earrings and brooches, pins. Aren't they gorgeous? And gum leaves, little possums, koalas. There's some really good ideas for Christmas gifts in there. Earrings are always popular. Okay, let's do a quick scoot along here and then I'll finish up and say goodbye to you all. Look at that sugar jar. Really like that. There's hand creams and soaps, tote bags. Bronwyn, this is the first time I've been aware that they had the Archibald in my area. That's not to say that it is the first time. I mean, I've been preoccupied with all sorts of other things in previous years. So the answer to that is I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye out for it moving forward, though, and make sure that I do get to see it every year because I avoid going down to the State Gallery for the Archibald. There's just too many people there. And also I'm not allowed to stream from the Archibald of New South Wales. They won't let me. I went in there and tried to stream their regular exhibition and was asked to please stop. So this is a great way of bringing the Archibald Prize to you guys. It saves me the trouble of going into the city, which I do anyway. But look at that blue sky out there. That's the Carrington Hotel. I love glass. I love glass. Look at the glass. All right, I'm down to one bar, which I don't like. Not happy about that. Oh, it's bounced up to 3 again. We might just quickly see the tea towels. There we go, lovely tea towels. Pretty socks. Are they socks? Yeah, they're nice. Oh, they're very nice socks. I do like those socks. $25 isn't too bad either if they last. Look at those. We might have to come back and do some shopping, guys. Love those socks. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to finish up over here. Let's turn the camera around. We've only gone a little bit over time. So thanks, everyone, for joining me today. Tomorrow I am going to do the waterfalls and lookouts at Katoomba. And then on Friday I'll be heading off into the city for the Our Country Immersive, which sounds amazing. So keep a lookout on the calendar for that. Try and book in for that one if you can, because it's going to be an exceptional exhibition. I'm really excited to bring it to you. Thanks again, everyone. See you again soon on another tour. And thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye, guys.